right, everybody, I am super excited to be starting a new project. I can't tell you guys how long I've been wanting to do this. I've been talking about it for probably about a year or two now. I saw Sassafras do some pillows, and I was like, that's amazing. And they were like, it's our quilt pattern, and this is not a new quilt pattern, but it's new to me. I've never done it before. I purchased this pattern a while ago. And what I'm going to do is turn their quilt pattern into some pillows. So the goal is going to be to do 4 pillows. So I'm going to choose 4 of these blocks, which I've already done. And I went to Staples and I made copies of the foundation pages. So this is going to be paper pieced. And I feel like I haven't truly paper pieced in a while. And this is going to be, you kind of say it's going to be a lot of paper piecing. I mean, the pillow, the front of the pillow will be paper pieced. So I chose a couple of the blocks, and the first block that I'm going to get started with is this guy down here, and it's block number 10. And each block has an A piece and a B piece. And so I'm going to, and on the sheet, there are 2 different blocks. Maybe it might be the same one, but right here it says block 10, foundation B, block 9, foundation B. So right now we're just working on 10. I don't know if I'm doing block 9. I don't know if that's one of the ones that I've chosen, but it was on that page. So we have to do what we have to do. I'm going to go through and cut out all of the foundation A and B. And then what I really, really, really love about their foundation pieces is that it tells you, once you get to the pattern, what size to cut the section so that you know that it fits. That is just, oh my goodness, that is invaluable when it comes to paper piecing. I hate to just work blind, just hoping that you get a piece that's big enough to cover the area. So this one here, they tell you what size to cut, and I am all here for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab the colors. The colors for this project are going to be mainly a blue and a purple with a rainbow colorway. Just trust me, you guys are going to see where this is going over the next month or so. So that's going to be the colors that I've chosen. I'm working in all Tulip Pink because you've met me before. Why not? And we're going to get started. I'm going to start cutting out all the foundation blocks, A and B, for block number 10. I was thinking about it, and I have decided that I'm going to just do one video for all 4 pillows. So here's the colorway for the pillows. We've got our Dragon's Breath here, and it needed 12 colors. Oh, sorry, that doesn't go here. But it needed 12 colors, so I added in a citrus with this this fat quarter bundle. It's a Tulip Pink. It's a Free Spirit color, and it fits in really well right there. It'll fit on this side there or this side. It stays with the same kind of richness as the other colors, so I feel good about that. But the first pillow that I'm going to show you is only going to utilize this rainbow fabric, this blue, this pink, this white, and this black. This white is a white on white. This black is a charcoal on black, I'd say. But they're both, everything here is Free Spirit. This is all Tulip Pink. Everything here is Tulip Pink. This one might even be Tulip Pink, but I think it's just a Free Spirit citrus color. I don't know if that one is actually in the Tulip Pink solids, but nonetheless, let's get to it. Oh, and if you guys didn't, this is the gray Fairy Frost with the rainbow in it. Oh, it looks so good. This is going to be such an interesting pillow. Let's do it. So I have the pattern cut out here. I have 6 of block foundation B, 6 of foundation A, and this is again the Starburst block right here. Now I'm not going to do a whole rainbow of colors. I'm just going to do these here, and I love again that they tell you what pieces to cut out. Oh, it's just so much better that way. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do an entire one and then move on to the next one, or if I'm going to do all 1 and 2s all the way through all 6, then come back and add 3. I might do it that way. So that way, when I finish, I will be completely done. One thing that I like to have with me when I am paper piecing, where is it? I don't see it. I'll show you. I like to have my glue stick with me, and in my Add a Quarter Plus, Don't buy the ones that don't have the, what is this? I guess you could say it's a graduated. It comes down to a point here so that you can fold your stuff back easily. I've got a couple of videos on how to foundation piece, and this video is probably going to be more about making the pillow than it is piecing all of these blocks here. So I am going to get to piecing, I think. So I'm just going to leave this here. Actually, I need to cut all these diagonally. And then I will be cooking with gas and ready to go. I like that on this. I've never seen anybody tell you to cut the square and then cut it diagonally. I'm not concerned about showing you the sizes because you need to have the pattern in order to do this. So I'm going to cut those diagonally and then get ready to start cooking. One last thing I forgot to tell you is that I'm switching out the white and the gray in this one. So you've got a light, a medium, and a dark. And I've put the medium, which is my gray fairy frost, down the center of this. And then each of these will be a different color. It'll be either pink or blue. So I'm getting ready to do another one. And I figured I might as well just show you guys quickly how this works. Remember that if you're doing this, you have an A and a B. So I wanted to do pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. I wanted that to be the pattern. However, when I started, I just was grabbing one of these. And so you have an A and a B. And I did one incorrectly that I need to redo. So just remember there's an A and a B. So if you want to do every other of something, probably need to either lay it out or mark on there exactly what it's going to look like. So the first thing that I do is grab my ruler and I fold all the sides. I fold on all the lines. So even though this line stops here, I'm going to fold between the 1 and the 2. And we're just going to fold on the line 1. And you do that for all of the lines, even though the line stops, just fold them all. And then after you do that, you're going to be working on the opposite side of the piece of paper. Your very first one goes face up. This is why I like to use this guy. This is a super temporary glue. You can also use the purple school glue sticks. They work actually probably a little bit better than this one. You've really got to put this on. So I'm putting the glue on section 1. And you need to move quickly because, again, this glue is not the greatest. And I'm just going to burnish this onto the paper. And yes, I have to really press to get it on there. So now I've got the whole section 1 covered. Then I'm going to grab my ruler. And this is the add a quarter plus. And I'm going to fold it back. And I can see all this is exposed. And what I want is to take it, and this has a lip on it that grips. And so I just want to take it and move it till it bumps up against the paper and trim all of the excess that is not a 1/4 inch. They have add a 1/8 rulers, add a 1/16 for really tiny piecing too when you don't want a full 1/4 inch. So now I'm going to look to see where 2 starts and stops, where it's touching 1. So it says 1 and it tells me what color to use. 2 is a color. It says color right there. So I can tell from the folds that it starts and it stops right here. So I'm going to grab a color. And something else I wanted to show you guys is I have them laid out just like this. This is how I work. This is color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is there an 8? Oh, there's 2 of these here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just leave it laid out like that. It will just make your life so much easier. That's a little trick. So then I'm going to put this down, right sides together. So this one is facing down. This is going to be right sides together, even though this is a solid. I can see that it starts right here and ends right here. So I just want to kind of center it. And I'm going to butt that right up against that 1/4 inch seam. And that's perfect. Now I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew on that line between the 1 and the 2. So I'm just going to grab this. Now, some people use pins, which is not a bad idea, especially if it's your first time doing it, but I've been here before, so I'm going to start sewing a little bit before the line. Don't worry, it'll be fine. But I'm going to just try to sew directly on this line. And I have my stitch length shortened to like 1.8. All right, and now we're going to just cut that, and let's go back to see what happened. So we've sewn directly on that line. If you flip it over, this is what you'll see. And now I'm just going to push the fabric toward that sewn line. I'm going to push it, push it, push it. And because there's nothing else happening on the other side of this, I'm actually going to tack it down with some glue. So I'm pushing it. You can seam roll it if you'd like. I've got my trusty dusty Violet Craft, and I like this one because it's heavy. And I just press that seam with my roller. And I'm just going to peel this back a little bit and put a little glue on the area where I know nothing is happening. Again, this is super temporary glue, but you don't want this pink flapping all around and getting in the way of anything else. So then again, I just burnish it and make sure it's stuck down. And I leave it like that. I'm not going to worry about trimming it until the very last moment when I trim on this line here, my seam allowance line. So then I'm going to look for color number 3. So it goes 1, 2, and then it's between 1 and 3. Not an issue. I'm going to fold that back. And I see that I have too much fabric there, so I'm going to cut it off. And you might get some big scraps or some little scraps. For this, for the most part, all the scraps are kind of small, so you don't feel like you're wasting. Foundation piecing can be a wasteful project if you don't have the sizes already pre-cut for you, which these are, which makes this one of the best foundation piecing patterns there is. All right, so I'm looking for the corners between this and this. Perfect, no problem. And I'm just pushing this up against that. Let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So I can see that there's a crease here and a crease there, and I know that I want to make sure this pink fabric is between the two. And so I'm just going to lay it there as close to the tip as I can. Perfect. I'm going to push this back. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and sew down that line. That was fast. So again, we're just going to push this up against this line here, and we'll do a little seam rolling. Yes, that's lovely. And I'm just going to tack it down again so it's not flapping. And those were pretty much identical pieces on either side. So that feels good. You can iron, but very few people iron between each step. And with this paper on there, this could transfer to your ironing board, so you want to be careful. So now I'm just going to find number 4, which is up here in this corner. I'm going to fold it back. Trim away any excess that I see. I'm going to grab number 4, which is right here. Again, having them all lined up is really nice. I'm going to look to see where these guys are here, here, and here. Right sides together. So right side is facing me. And I'm just going to move it till I feel like it's in a good place. When this is flipped over, you can see the shape. If the shape underneath is covering the shape when it is this direction, that's the whole secret to foundation piecing and never missing an angle. When you fold it over and it's lined up where you want it to sew, I can tell that this fabric is covering this little section right here. Once you understand that, you'll never miss an angle. That's the secret to paper piecing. So I'm going to fold this back and sew on the line. All right, so now this is section 4. Fold it back, trimmed it. Sometimes I sew into the seam allowances just so that it tacks it down even more. It's going to be caught. It's not a big deal. When you fold this one back, I can really see that this covers all this black fabric here. So I know that it's going to fit. I've got my fabric right sides up. And make sure you're using the cheapest paper you can find. This paper is really nice paper, which you don't want. You want super cheapy paper. And so Staples actually had rather nice paper in there. All right, so now I'm going to fold this back and keep going. And then I'm going to finish this, and then we can put the whole thing together, and then we can all move on from foundation paper piecing. I just want to show you guys that over here is my stack. I went through and I separated these into A's and B's, and then I put each color with it. Then I clipped it so that I didn't get confused. This is the stack that I'm pulling from. So I'm behind everything on my ironing board right here. And then when I move around to right here, I have this all laid out in the order that it's going to be used. So here we have everything in the order, and then we have the foundation right here in the block. So as I pull this color, I turn around behind me and put the other color there and switch it out. And that's how I'm staying so organized, and that's how I've been able to cut this block down to a 30-minute block. Every 30 minutes, one of these gets done. So I have just finished paper piecing 4 pillows. I've just finished piecing the tops for 4 pillows, and I think I'm going to add in a 5th, but the 5th one, it will not be paper piece because anybody got time for that. So instead, I'm going to try to do a couple of just a really simple pillow. I've grabbed my 60-degree equilateral triangle ruler designed by Rachel Cross, and it's by Creative Grids. I have measured this strip to 9.5. I believe these guys here that I've just finished piecing, I haven't trimmed them down yet. They're going to finish at 9. So it's going to be the same size pillow. And in order to get half of this, a 30-degree triangle, you need to go over, so not the center line, but go over to the left to account for your seam allowance. So I'm just going to line all that up and take my first cut. And I was debating on what color story I wanted to do with this guy. I think I'm going to just do 6 of those. I'm just going to lay this on top of the other one and make a cut. And I can see that they're all lined up. So I'm just going to grab another one here. And this is going to straighten up this fabric. And if this were fabric with a print on it, just know you're going to get opposite sides of what you're doing, of what you're cutting. Because I'm using just straight fabric with solid fabric with no front or back or print to it, I'll be fine. How many do I have here? And I believe I need 6. I have 4. We're going to do one more cut. And we should be good. And again, I'm lining it up this way with the furthest line to the left, not the center line. We need that extra 1/4 inch to get a nice triangle. And this will be our last cut. And now I have 6. Perfect. I'm going to do the same thing with the blue ones. So now I'm just taking this out and laying this out circus tent style, also known as Makes Mac Very Happy style. I am loving this. And then this piece will fit in here. And now I just need to piece like the dickens. I'm just going to sew this to this, this to this, blah, blah, blah. You guys get it until it shrinks in and becomes a tight little 18-inch. Well, I guess it won't be 18 inches yet until I finish sewing it. But we're just going to sew 1 to 1. And that is going to be the fast one. And then the other ones I'm going to trim down and sew those all together. And then I will have my pillow tops. Very exciting. All right, so I've started sewing them together and they're coming together pretty cute. Looks pretty good. I've got this side here that is just left, and I have pressed every single seam open. So we're just going to put this in. So all the seams are open. They look pretty good. It's pretty flat right there, as flat as it's going to get. You don't want to be trying to press to one side and swirl all that. No, because this is going to be a, if you were quilting this, I'd be like, be careful, because when you hit it, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear that sound that you know when you've hit a very thick seam. So we're just going to, what am I doing? How does this work? Here we go. Flip you over and plop you in. That doesn't feel right. Why doesn't this feel right? There we go. All right, so I have sewn that last piece in. It got very, 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 very thick in here, like super duper thick. Am I worried about it? No, not at all. Because I'm sure you've already guessed it. We are going to just pop that little right there and we're good. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is the first paper piece pillow. I've trimmed it all down. I'm getting ready to attempt to piece it all together and then pull the papers. So I'm working with another one, and as I'm going through this, as always, you kind of figure out what your system is going to be. And I'm really liking removing these little pieces on the edge here. So I've already sewn down on that line, and then this is the other side where it came through, and I matched it up pretty good on this one on both sides of the line. And that's kind of just, and then after that I take off the piece that I just sewed, because I think it's going to give it some more room to breathe. The centers are coming through bulkier than I think they should. I mean, it's going to be bulky. I've got all these coming to the center, but we're going to just try to manage it a little bit. And we're not concerned because we're going to put something over it. When I'm doing my big circle quilts, I usually applique a circle on top, or you can inset a circle. So when they come all together, it's very difficult to get something perfect in there. No worries, we're just going to pull these, and they're perforated because I'm sewing at like a 1.8, maybe a 1.9, somewhere around in there. So it's perforated, it's not difficult to pull. You're removing the paper. And then I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to grab one of my favorite tools here. And I'm just going to iron this open with the wood iron. And then I'm going to hit it with some heat. I just finished ironing that with some real heat, and it's nice and hot. But boy, does it lay flat like that. And now it's laying just as flat as it was a moment ago, even though it's already sewn together. So these have been sewn together. I'm going to sew these together next and just keep working my way around. And I'm going to see if I get a better result than this last one. This last one, I didn't pull the seam papers, and I have just a huge glob of seams that are all right here. And once I open this, it'll probably lay a little bit better, but I know that I'm going to have to put buttons on these for sure. For sure. So this guy here is flat. I'd even be willing to not put a little button in there because it's pretty much gorgeous. Like it's close. It's about as close as I probably ever will get. And this is with the pressing everything super flat as I go around opening up these seams, and it really did. It feels good. So I'm going to go on ahead and see if I can pull the papers and flatten out the other one that I pieced. Paper pieced. This one is paper pieced. And do the same thing with the other upcoming paper pieced ones and see if I can get them just as flat, because that's really going to make the next steps a whole lot easier. So I just wanted to show you guys me pulling papers. I can't believe how long these pillows are taking me. But again, this is actually a quilt that we are making into pillows. And normal quilts that are not 3-yard quilts take a bit of time. I'm just spoiled rotten with 3-yard quilts. And I see why, another reason why 3-yard quilts are great. And that's just because if you're like me and you lose interest quickly, or you're obsessing to get to the next project and you don't want to leave projects unfinished before starting the next project, 3-yard quilts is where it's at. Because I am ready to move on, and this project has like 15 million other steps to it. So you're just going to pull these papers. Boo. Just pulling them out. These little bits here, I will get the bigger bits out, but some of the little bits, it just doesn't matter. It just does not matter. The paper that I used was incredibly, it was just way too thick. Way too thick. I will not be doing that again. I will just use foundation papers, newsprint, or anything else because it's just too thick. It's still tearing out. It's still perforated, but this could be going probably a little faster if I had the motivation to do it, for one. And then if the papers were a little softer, I think this would be going a little bit faster. And I see why people enlist children to do this, but you still have to be kind of careful to make sure that you don't pop any seams. If you didn't do any back stitching on some of these, you really do want to be careful not to wreck your stitches. This one lays beautifully flat. It looks good. You could actually probably finish this one without putting a button in because it's black and it all goes to the center there. It's nice looking. I feel good about this one. We've got one more, guys, to trim and finish. And that is just another pink and blue one. So let's get to it. So this one is the last one, and it seems to have come together in the center the absolute best. And yes, that one there could absolutely be finished with no button, like at all. No worries or thought about it. It's not super duper thick. It's just, you know, I mean, it's thick. There's a lot of seams coming together right there, but it's not bad at all. Just a little bump that will press out when we put the interfacing on it beautifully. All right, let's get this done and start putting interfacing. Pull these papers and start putting interfacing on the backs of, and the backs and the fronts of everything, and the sides. Backs, fronts, and sides of everything. That's the next step. So I'm working on interfacing everything now, and I've got my SF101 Shape Flex by Pellon. I'm hoping you can see that. And I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed, but this wouldn't be my channel if I didn't tell you all my crazy. So I'm putting the thing down like this, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't fit. And I'm getting ready to actually press it. I was going to cut off one of these little things and stick it up there because I was like, oh, it's protruding. And then it was like, I rotated it for whatever reason. And sure enough, it does fit. This shape flex is only 20 inches this way, which is fine because I believe this is 18 inches. And then as long as you need it to be, again, slightly embarrassed, guys. Just a touch. Just leave it to me to be that person because, you know. I'm going to cut this right here at this little intersection where it says 22 inches because I don't need a lot of excess fabric here. And I'm actually going to toss this in my heat press first and just press it out and get it nice and flat. And then I will take this all over to the heat press and press it. So I've pressed this as flat as it will get in the heat press. Now I'm going to go on ahead and take off these angles and leave very, very, very minimal, if any, overhang, so that I can continue to press this without any issue, without it like sticking and getting the little sticky stuff anywhere. All right, so now this interfacing is fused and we should be good to go. I am using my huge heat press. It's not that big. It's like, is it 18 inches wide, I think? Maybe 24 inches wide. I don't know what that thing is, but it is, I'll show you. We're using this big Fancier Studios heat press to do the pressing, making it nice and fast with this interfacing. Irons are cool, they get the job done, but this is way faster. So for the sides, you're going to need a bunch of panels that are 3.5 by 11. You're going to need 6 of them. So what I decided to do was some of my panels are going to be different than the backs. These are going to be some funky pillows because they're mine. But I've decided to cut the fabric down to 22 by 12. And then I'm going to cut the interfacing down to 21.5 by 11.5. And then I'm going to fuse it all down and then I'm going to cut it up. So that ensures that the interfacing gets right to the edge. And I'm going to do the same thing for the back panel. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to make sure that the 22 is going this way because I want the stripes to be this direction. So I feel good about this. This is fine. We don't want to be cutting with the stripes. That would be not cute. And yes, I do have a whole bolt of Tula Pink's black and white stripe line work sitting right here because it is that serious. All right, so I'm just going to take this down and cut it to whatever I just said, 22 by 12. And I will have at least two of these to do the side panels on 2 pillows. I would love for 2 of them to be black and white striped. So I just cut this down a little bit smaller, of course, just a touch. And now I'm going to fuse this to the back side of this fabric and then cut it down to size. Okay, so this is where I cut it down. So I'm going to lay this on the line and make sure that it's all nice and lined up. And I'm going to scooch this over because I have no idea how much room I have to play with, if any. I got a ½ inch maybe. But I'm just going to take off just a smidge here. And then we're going to cut this down to 3.5 inch pieces and hopefully we get 6 of them. Turn the ruler around the proper way. And we're just going to do 3.5 inch pieces. And we will cut these pieces down to 11 inches. So we had just enough with about a 1/2 inch left over, which is perfect. And now we need to cut these guys down to 11. And I feel like I should have 11-inch something. It's a ruler somewhere. My 6 by 12-inch ruler is starting to become one of my most used rulers out there. So I'm looking at the back to see where this, again, I want the interfacing to come all the way to the end of the fabric. So I'm just going to chop off where I see the interfacing, and then we will put that on the 11. And we'll go across the top. I just realized that I could have done this a whole lot faster had I chopped off the sides of this before I cut it down. I will probably be doing that the next time. All right, guys, get yourselves 6 of these with interfacing on the back. Doesn't that look beautiful? Oh, love a black and white stripe. So I was supposed to finish these pillowcases today, and I got incredibly sick from some new Chinese food place that I tried. I won't do that again. I blame it on my husband. He bought me Chinese food, and it went wrong. Okay, this is the back. I've cut the backing fabric to the actual fabric 21 inches by 23, and I cut the interfacing down to 20 by 22.5. So I just took the whole height of the interfacing, and then I just went ahead and measured it to 22.5 wide, and now I'm trimming it down. The interfacing has been pressed on with my lovely heat press, and now I'm just trimming it down to size. And this is just for the back of the pillow, just the back. So I am going to cut this down. I'm going to cut one more side off. So I told you guys I cut the interfacing always at least a 1/2 inch larger than I need it to be, just so that when I cut it down, the interfacing goes right up to the edge. And now I'm going to cut the top. I can see that the faces are looking this way. This is the top. I'm going to cut down a 10.5 by 22-inch piece, and I'm using my mat to do that. Actually, the first piece that I'm going to cut is not going to be 10.5. I'm going to cut down a 9.5-inch piece. 9.5, and then I'll cut a 10.5. I want the largest portion to be at the bottom. That feels like the most aesthetically pleasing pillow zipper in the back. So that's 9.5. And then my next piece will be 10.5. And I'm going to do this for all 5 pillow backs. 5 pillows. That's part of the reason why this isn't done too. This is a lot. These are a lot of pillows. All right, cutting this down to 10.5. So we've got a 9.5-inch piece and a 10.5-inch piece, and this looks cool. Perfect. I'm going to do this for the rest of the backs, and then we'll come back. So I've just finished cutting all the backs for these pillows. And I have marked which one is the big one, which is 10.5, on this one, just so that I know, because they are kind of similar in size. So I am a zipper girl. I like to stay with zippers, and I really enjoy the By Annie zippers. And these are zippers by the yard. If you haven't watched her video, you totally should, because she probably has the best explanation about how to install zippers there is. I think I'm going to have some fun and play with this lime green zipper on the back. The zipper comes with a bunch of matching pulls. If you buy it on her site, you can get multicolor pulls. So of course, I'm going to do a different color pull for this zipper, because I'm me, and right? It just seems like the kind of thing I would do. So for this one, I'm going to use the lime green. For the other ones, I'll probably do a little black. I have some other ones, but I think we're just going to stick with the black and the lime green on the backs for this. So we have our zipper tape here. We've got our 10.5-inch piece at the bottom. I have my my 9.5-inch piece at the top. Makes me very happy. I love the way this looks. And I grabbed this beautiful color zipper. I seem to use this color a lot. I should probably buy a whole pack of this color. And I'm looking for the end of my zipper tape. Remember, if you're using By Annie zipper tape, it's awesome. I love it. You are going to want to cut from one side and insert them from another side. So I really could mark this side. This could be the marked end. I just want to give myself a little bit of love here, just to play with, just a little bit. And then we're going to mark a little bit there so that I know I can cut that off. And I'm going to attach from the other side. Where's the zipper? Here it is. With the rounded part facing down, I'm going to pull these apart just a little bit. I'm going to put this on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to put the other slide right there. And then I'm going to hold them taut, hold the back part taut, and then we're just going to pull it down. Nice and easy. It's why I love zippers from the yard. I'm going to move this into the cut area, which is, where is it? Where is it marked? There it is. I'm going to get it into that area, and I am going to cut it. And it's very, very simple to do. These nylon zippers just cut with a rotary cutter. There we go. So I'm just going to take this and cut this bad boy, and bam, now we have zipper tape. All right, now I have got to sew the zipper tape to this side of the fabric, and then I will roll it back and then sew the top. You can do either side you want. I'm going to throw a couple of clips on this just to keep it in place. Zippers do not have to be scary. I remember the first time I did it, I was nervous. But By Annie tutorials and whatnot make it very, very simple for you. So I'm going to take this over to the Prince Charming. We're going to use our M7 now quite a bit to sew this on. I guess I could sew it on. I could use I could use my HD9 to get it on there, which is literally just right here, and then I could use the M7 to do my top stitching. Maybe I will do that. So I decided just to make it nice and easy and just attach the zipper over here with the HD9. And when you get to the chunky part, this zipper is going to be in the way. I'm just going to lift this foot, hold the zipper taut, move it back that way, and just let it chill out for a minute while I finish doing this. I didn't put any stoppers in my tape, so I've got to be careful not to pull that sucker off. So now that zipper is attached, and I just need to roll that puppy back and just give it a little pressing here. We're going to press that beautifully at the iron, but you have to be careful because this, if you touch your teeth to that, you're going to have a problem. And then I'm just going to take this guy here and move this down. I'm going to take this guy here and put it this way, make sure that it lines up evenly. And here, and then I'm just going to stitch that down too on that side. So I pressed it, it looks good. And I was wondering what color thread I was going to put on there because I have all of these colors, and I was like, you know what? I'm working with rainbows today. We are going to bust out the wizardry sewing floss, sewing string as they call it. I think they call it sewing string. I know everybody has these variegated colors, but nobody does a variegated like they do. I know that sounds silly, right? It's like, what? You can't see it here, but you should definitely check out Wizardry's unicorn mane. It hits different. I'm telling you guys, the variegated rainbow in this color is just gorgeous. So I'm going to go on ahead and wind a bobbin for funsies and use this. I'm using text 35 in my regular sewing machine. I have some for my domestics, I mean my semi-industrials that's different, but for my regular machine, I'm going to run text 35. So this zipper is on here with my pretty rainbow thread, which you can't even really see on here, so yay. Now I'm going to line this up. I guess I can, yeah, I guess we can just, we'll just leave that there for a second. And I'm going to try to, I should have put a stop there because I just have a bad feeling about this, but that's okay. We are going to line these up and clip away. Looks good to me. Okay. And then we'll just sew this to this side and then top stitch it, and then this will be done. So here I have my stitch in the ditch foot, and I'm just going to stitch closely to the sides here. Nice and easy, and I'll move the zipper out of the way as I need to. I'm going to do it down both sides. I have my stitch length at a 3.0. I could probably change it and make it a little bit longer. Change it to a 3.5. And that'll be that. Here, I have a huge roll of white freezer paper that I just got. It's 18 inches by 175 feet. I don't know that I will ever need freezer paper again a day in my life. And I got this roll because it is 18 inches wide, which is what I need here. So, yeah. Again, I don't know that I will ever need freezer paper again. The freezer paper that I see at the grocery store doesn't appear to be long enough. It's not 18 inches. I was hoping I could get 20, but hey, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And this is still not big enough, which means I'm going to have to stack it. Oh, that makes me kind of sad. Oh well. I am going to roll out a couple of rolls of this, and then we are going to make a pattern out of it. So let me go grab my some tape. I was trying to figure out why this math is not mathing, but it's not mathing because although this roll says 18 inches, it's a little shy of 18, and my block is 18 and a half right now. So between the two, that's a no-go. So I'm just cutting off where the tape is. I don't know that that's going to be a big deal, but we'll just cut it off nonetheless. Because we have plenty of paper here. Plenty, plenty, plenty. And now we will cut off I'm going to cut off 23 inches of freezer paper. Because again, we are making a quick template. And I can probably just cut off another couple of inches just to elongate it where I need. I'm just cutting off another 16 for funsies. I don't think I'm going to make a template for each block. I don't know that they're that different, but we'll see, because this one is the one that is pieced a little differently. So we shall see. I'm just going to lay this down this way. And I'm just going to add a little bit down here. I guess I could overlap it. It's not going to hurt it. Ouch. This is on the non-shiny side, of course. But we need to remember this tape is here because when I hit it with an iron, we want to avoid the areas with the tape. because then we might have a mess. All right, now I'm just going to cut around this until I have a template of this guy here. I might throw a pin or two in there just so that it's not moving all around. Oh, you know what? I could actually iron it to this and then cut it out. That's what I think I will do, because it'll stick and then I don't even have to think about it. That's the whole point of lovely freezer paper. So how about I iron this to this and then cut it out? Yeah, why not? Doing it. I iron this on low, medium heat, and it's not stuck down super hard. It's just enough for me to get the job done. Just enough for me to comfortably be able to rotate this and not have any problems with it. And again, we're just trying to get a template of this so that I can cut the back. That is all. And I could make a template for all of these, but they should be pretty much the same. This one might be a little bit different, but in theory, the numbers should be the same, because I cut this down to, oh, that was great, to 9.5, just like the other ones. So we'll see. We'll see if this template is good enough for the others. Got little pieces everywhere here. All right, now I'm going to peel this off. Love that. Freezer paper is magical. And I'm going to go grab the back and we're going to see if it works out okay. So this is the back panel. I've got the larger 10.5 inch part down here toward my belly button. Now I'm going to take this, and I want to be sure that the zipper is above the sides here. I want it above the sides. I don't want it below, I want it above. So I'm going to take this and line this up straight, and then I'm going to press it. Do not press this area right here where this zipper is. This zipper will melt. But I'm just going to iron this piece of paper just like this to the to this top here. I guess I could give it a little something. I was thinking about just taking it all the way here because that's one less cut that I have to make. It's up to you. You know, make it make sense for you. All right. Okay, so this is stuck down just a little bit, just lightly, not enough to really be super, you know, whatever. So I'm just going to peel this off again. And now we have a back panel with this part being the top. Now, if you are scared that you are not going to pay attention, now would be a great time to just put yourself some stops right there and right there. Just, you know, if you're just scared. And hopefully this is the same size as this. And because it's a six-sided even shape, it should all be the same. And it looks like it is. It looks like it will fit. All right, so that is my back shape. And yeah, I might have to do a little scooching here and there, but that's that. So this is the back of my pillow. This is the front of my pillow. Now it is piping time. I'm one of those people who puts her join on the bottom right-hand side, like over, not the bottom, but the right-hand side, lower right-hand side of her quilts. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my join down here. Now to do the piping, I've homemade some piping, and this one's getting black piping on the front and the back. I've decided to keep the piping the same color on the front and the back of all of these. All I'm going to do is take our raw edges, and I'm going to start just the same way you would. I'm going to leave a little tail here, and I'm going to start right here, and we're just going to sew this to this, just like that, and then we're going to come around this corner and keep it pushing. Let's go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to do this with my with Prince Charming with the M7. So to join the two ends, just like you do with quilting, I have left a little bit of a tail here, and then I've got a tail here, and this was cut flush, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Come on, open up. Pop those stitches right open. If I had a seam ripper, it would be better than these scissors, sort of. And we're just going to keep opening this up a bit. Nice tight stitches. And I'm going to fold this fabric down in the back because we want a finished edge. I'm going to cut this bad boy right here. Cut you. Nope. I need to cut it just so that this butts right up against that. So I'm going to open it up actually some more. Open it up some more. And we'll cut it just so that this lays right next to that. There we go. We want these guys to just kiss, just like that. We're going to take this and encase this beautiful one right in there. We're going to fold this down and over so that we get a finished edge. I'm going to encase him like a little hot dog. And then we're just going to sew right up here so that it's nice and seamless. Okay? You just want them to butt up against one another. And there's going to be a little bit of overhang, and we'll just trim off that overhang. But remember, you want it in there like a little hot dog. There we go. Nice and tight.
we have a nice join right there with no raw edges. Just a nice join.
Now that we have our piping connected on the front and the back of our pillows, now we need to work on the sides because this is a 3D, it's a pillow. So let's do that. All right, here are our sides. So I'm just going to take these, flip these guys over, and I am going to mark a 1/4 inch from each side. I'm going to do that on all of these because you want to start and stop sewing between these lines here. Really only need to do that on 3 of them. So I'm going to mark 3 of these so that I can see the top. Okay. Now, just as we said, we are going to put these here, and we're going to start on that line. So now we have the front, the back, and the sides. They are all sewn together. I didn't try to control where the joins are. I just let whatever happen. When I cut it, it's not seamless everywhere. There are some places where you probably won't be able to tell. Whatever. All right, so I'm going to work on the front first. And I am going to, everywhere there is a join is where the corner is. So we will put the corners together. And they are not stitched up until the corners to the 1/4 inch. So each corner will be able to breathe. Okay? It will be able to breathe. But it's back stitched, so that's good. All right, it's one corner here. That's very well thought out, actually. Let's put that there so that you'll be able to rotate right around those guys. And I am sewing, I'm actually going to sew this way. I'm going to sew with the top. So I'm going to flip this around. This will be the bottom. I'm going to sew with this on the top so that I can see and stay to the left of this line that I've already sewn. And that's just going to make sure that we don't get any rainbow surprises when we flip this guy. All right, so this is what it should look like. Oh, I need to trim this here, but I'll trim it in a minute. Just find everywhere that there's a join and clip it. So now that we have sewn this side, look at how pretty. It's so pretty. Now we have got to sew the other side to it, and luckily it has a zipper, so we're just gonna open that puppy up a little bit. And I've got stops, of course, so I don't have to worry about it coming off, because we are definitely going to be doing some manipulating when you put your hand in there to, you know, just be sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And they suggest with sewing with the pillow on the sewing machine, which is what I did on the other side. I think I'm going to stay with that. And we are just going to pin these in these same corners like we did on the other one. All right. I shouldn't say pin. I should say clip, because that's just what I did to the other side, was clip it. And I'm just trying to line up that point with that opening. And I think I'm going to sew with the, I think I'm going to sew with the top on the machine again. Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The directions say to sew with the block on the top, so that's just what I'm going to do. So the flat part is going to be toward me the way that I'm clipping it right now. Ow. And I actually use my 1/4 inch foot on this just to try to get a pretty consistent 1/4 inch seam. I mean, I did on some sides and it came out pretty good. It came out pretty good, and staying left of that seam that we've already sewn, which is probably why you need to sew with the block on top, so that you can see the seam that you've already sewn. I'm gonna nest that in there. So I've just finished sewing the back part on. Good times. And I'm just gonna clip these ends, I guess. I don't know that it's really necessary, but you know, when turning stuff inside out, I guess you just should, right? So I'm just gonna feel to kind of see where the piping lands and all this. It feels good. And I think I'm gonna, maybe I'll just flip it. See what we're working with here. Ooh wee. You guys have no idea how long I've been wanting to do these pillows, like forever and ever and ever. Like forever and a day. All right, give me a minute. It's gonna be a minute. Give me a minute. Okay, so it's looking really nice. I am very, very, very pleased with this guy. It's still a hexagon. And here's the back. It looks good. Can close it. I think I put this one, the zipper in, it's facing the wrong direction, but whatever. I think we'll be fine. I mean, the zipper is literally facing that way, but I would have liked it to be facing this way. But again, we'll be fine. So now it's time to stuff this bad boy and do a button. I'm going to do a button for this one. Not all of them will require a button, but this one comes together a little funky here. So I'm going to do a big button for the front of this. And I'm actually just doing a big black one. So I need to cover this with some black fabric. And that'll be that. So I just measured my template up against the rest of them, and they vary too much. Even the pieced ones kind of vary. One of them like as much as almost like a half an inch. So I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. So what I'm going to do is, this is the one to the one that I just showed you. And I'm going to take, now that everything's finished, the pillow is completely put together, I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of all of it and make the template for the foam and the batting. And the way I'm going to do that is, I'm just going to take this guy and we're going to mark 1. Why am I doing this? Because it all looks the same. And once I cut it, I don't want to be going back cutting it again. So I'm taking a 1/4 inch off for this side. Then we're going to turn it to the right. And we're going to cut a 1/4 inch. And then once I get to 6, I know I will have cut a 1/4 inch off of all of it. All right, that's all 6 sides done. Yes, I could have folded this in half and cut 3 sides, but I didn't do it that way, okay? So many different ways to do stuff, and I just didn't do it that way. Okay, I'm just looking at these measurements here. All right, I'm getting ready to go grab some batting and some foam, and we will cut that down and see what we're working with. So in front of me, I have a huge piece of, it's not that huge actually. I think it's like 24 by 24. I got this from Fabric Town, USA. I also bought some from Joann's, and I think the ones from Joann's, you get a 2-pack for like 20 bucks, and you can use your coupon to take some off of that, which would make it even more affordable. So I'm going to take this template that has been cut down to a 1/4 inch smaller, and I'm going to just butt it right up against the bottom because it's one less side to cut. And I'm actually going to trace this one with a marker. Now the directions on making this pillow say to do it with 12 layers of batting. Who can afford 12 layers of batting for multiple pillows? I don't know. So I've got some alternatives. I've purchased some other foam that might be able to substitute some of those layers, because I just think that's a bit much, you know? So we'll see. Again, I am just tracing this with a highlighter, a marker. And then I'm going to cut this out with an electric knife. Okay, guys, I purchased this very large bag of, it's called New Foam. It's great for outdoors. The water drains right through it. It's washable. It doesn't yellow. It doesn't disintegrate. It's made from recycled materials. It says for use in chair cushions, deck furniture, camping, boat, blah, blah, blah. It's 24 inches this way, and it's 5 yards of it, and it's 1 inch thick. So the instructions call for 12 layers of batting. I don't even know if I could get 12 layers out of one of those bags, but I think that maybe because it's so thick, it's 1 inch thick, that maybe we can get away with using less than 12 layers of batting, hopefully. We'll see. They said 12 layers of high loft batting. And this is not even, I think this is thicker and more sturdy than high loft batting. So this is going to be one of our alternatives, because who can afford to do 12 of high loft? Where? How? I can't see that. So let's see what happens. Let's see how many layers I really do need. I used the template to cut out the foam. Definitely want to have a Swiffer around because it does have a whole bunch of little particles. I use my 60 millimeter to do this. I imagine that I will have to change this out because this stuff here is hard. But I think I like it because it's definitely dense. And so we might not need 12 layers of foam, which is just insane. Now I have to go steal my mother's electric knife because, you know. I guess before I go steal that, we will put this inside and see what we're working with. And I'm just gonna give it a little roll here, and we're gonna stick it in like this and stick this up through the top and just unroll. Oh yeah, this might not even need another layer. We'll see. We shall see how this is gonna work. I've got it pushed right up against the piping on the inside. I'm pushing it right into the piping areas because when I put this button in, which is my next step, I want to be sure that it's not probably going to be moving. So I want to make sure that it's right up in those corners and areas. And it is. It's pushed up. Well, it was. All right, now I'm going to put the button in. Let's make a button. So for my button kit, I'm just using a good old Dritz. This is a 1 7/8 button. I've cut the pattern off the back right there. And I'm just going to, I need 3 black buttons, so I'm just going to fold this over and make sure this is big enough. It is. It's actually very large. And we're just going to fold this over and cut this out around this area here. And we'll get 3 out of here. Perfect. No mess, no fuss. Just a quick little something for the buttons. They don't need to be perfect by a long shot. This feels very dangerous, cutting with the 60 millimeter right here. Very dangerous. I could really just trace this and cut it with some scissors. No sense in me even risking cutting this with this. I actually have some smaller size templates, but for this, we're just going to do this, and we're just going to, believe it or not, we're going to hand cut this and call it a day. 2, 3, and then 4. So here we are with this. I did not think about fussy cutting, it didn't even dawn on me to fussy cut this. Oh well, I'm going to give it a press just to get this line out of here, and then we can stretch the fabric over the button. I buy all sizes of needles. So I have some doll needles here. I mean, anytime I see a size of needles, I just grab them. And so I have some doll needles here. And so I just took out the largest one. And I don't have any, what's that stuff called? Finishing line. But I do have some 12-weight thread. So if not 12-weight thread, pearl cotton. That's got to be super strong, right? So I'm going to use that. And now we're going to cover up these buttons really quickly. So I'm going to take the fabric and I am going to put it in the center here, and I'm just going to push it on those teeth. I'm just pushing it on those teeth so it catches. Now I'm pulling it through. making it catch on the teeth. It says to use a pencil eraser to do this, which probably would be better. And now I'm pulling on this side and I'm pulling it taut. I'm pulling it pretty taut. And I'm just going to pull it and push. And there we go. And I'm doing this across from one another, right? So I'm just going to pull this a little bit and push the fabric just to catch it on those sharp teeth in there. And now I'm going to pull some more. And push it to try to catch it. And we'll do this side. Ouch. Now that I've got it pretty smooth, I'm going to flip it over. And with the top part facing this way, we're going to make sure that the lip goes down into this. So I'm going to put this on like that. And I'm going to use a spool. And I'm just going to find out, make sure that this little guy fits inside that hole so that I'm not crushing it. Because that's what we need to use the, see what I'm saying? There's a hole there, and this goes over that comfortably. So I want to be sure that that fits right over, because we're going to just push it down and snap it in. I'm going to pull it a little closer to my body, and then I'm going to lean on it. Okay, and I heard it. I heard it snap. And now we have a really pretty button. Yay. I'm just checking the outsides to make sure that it's all capped in there. And it looks like it is. All right. And there we go. Now I'm going to grab some thread. I'm going to put one side in. Perfect. Tie a knot at the end. And now let's grab our pillow. And I'm actually going to go down first. And I've got my finger on the center. And I want to come up through the center. I'm coming up through a center, not necessarily the center. There we go. And I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to go back down. Over, but kind of next to it. And we're going to come back up. And I'm going to go between these two just to make sure that it's not going to come out. Okay. Now we're going to get to getting. I'm going to go back through one more time. There we go. Through the center. And now we're going to put Mr. Button on. We're going to get him where we want him. And we're going to go down again. Mr. Button looks good right there. So we're going to go up one more time. It's loose on the back. I can still pull it. See, I've got some play there. And I'm going to go through this guy one more time. I'm going to be sure I still can pull it a little bit. And we're going to go down one more time and tighten this puppy up. And now I'm pulling both strings to make sure it's where I want it, and it is. And now I'm going to tie a knot. Come on through there. Make sure that looks good, and it does. And we will tie another knot. And probably another one for good measure. And now we can cut off our excess. And I think we're fine. I think it's in there. It's good to stay. And yay. Button. Now I need to cut this foam. So let me clean this up. Oh, I've knocked this how many times? Okay, hopefully that wasn't too bad. Hopefully you could still see what was happening. I don't know. Might need to do that part over again. But now I'm going to cut this foam and stuff it in here and see what we're cooking with. All right, so now we've got 1-inch batting in. We've got our button in there, which is perfect. Now we just need some foam. These are probably older. They've got to be older than me for sure. And they probably got these when they got married, which I think they're on like they're close to their 50th. So yay for them. I'm going to use this to cut this foam. I'm going to hang it off the side here and cut it that way. Let's see if I can switch this around. Okay, so this is now hanging off the side. I'm going to grab this, and I am going to just cuts like butter. I've got a little dip in there, but I think we'll be okay. I'm hoping you all were able to see that. I'm going to turn it again. Put it that way. It's not making a mess. It's not there's no like fallout or anything. Because these don't have an on and off switch, whenever I'm not using them, because it's just a pull trigger, just disconnect that from the electricity so you don't accidentally hurt yourself. If you have one that is, you know, 50 years old. Okay, I'm going to try to stuff this in here. Just looking at it, I can tell that this is going to give it quite a bit of thickness. So I am going to roll it. Oh, I let it go. And it is definitely some high density foam. So you got to want it. And we're going to want it and want it. All right, there we go. Okay, give me a minute. I got to do some zhuzhing and I'll be right back with you. Okay, guys, this is the new foam. This is that 1-inch thick layer foam. And I think this is actually, I guess it's like a batting. It's not foam. It's a batting. And I think this is the best option to use for stuffing those pillows. I ended up using 2 layers of this and 1 2-inch thick foam, and that was perfect. And here are the 5 pillows all together. I think they came out really cute. Let me know what you think.